Look down range there and see if I can copy that. Yeah, that was a good drive. Right down the middle, little draw. Definitely felt like I lined it up well there. Hey everyone, in this video we're going to go over how to create proper driver impact in golf. I'm going to discuss with you why in my golf schools I teach there's the driver and everything else. And then most importantly, I'm going to have you lining up that driver for the longest, straightest drives you've ever seen. So smash that like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, thank me. If this video helped you drive the ball better, contribute to the ongoing success of my YouTube channel, and comment. These things help in more ways than you know. Okay, so the first thing we have to go over is why does he say there's the driver and everything else? Isn't it all the same? Don't I swing them the same way? Of course it's the same swing, but there's little nuances of the swings that are different. So let's talk about when I hit an iron off the ground. So I have the ball in the air here, but let's pretend it's right against the ground. So this 8-iron, as it's coming into impact, is on a downward trajectory, hopefully, right? And my goal is to get the leading edge of this club under the ball, and at that point I'm going to get some contact with the ground. The ball's going to take off, but what's the club head do? It continues on its downward trajectory, and we see a divot, or not necessarily a divot, but we see some interaction with the ground in front of the golf ball. Now, and the secret to that, which if you've been around golf or golf instruction for a while, you've heard the term forward shaft lean. So you want your hands and the grip to be in front of the club head and the golf ball at impact. Well, let's talk about hitting a driver now. So my driver, ball's up on a tee now. And I want to hit up on the driver. Why do I want to hit up on the driver? Do I have to hit up on the driver? No, you don't have to hit up on the driver. You can hit down on the driver and hit a very successful drive, something you're tickled pink, very happy with, right down the middle of the fairway. But there is a distance advantage to hitting up on the driver. So the more up I can hit, potentially more distance I can get. So to hit up on the driver, so ball's up on a tee here, notice the club bottoms out behind the golf ball and it starts to work back up into the air. So you could think if I had a hula hoop here, the bottom of my hula hoop when I'm hitting an iron off the ground should be in front of the golf ball. The bottom of my hula hoop when I'm hitting a driver and working on hitting up on the golf ball, that bottom of the hula hoop should be behind the golf ball. So I've got, as I said, little nuances are different. You know, I change my setup. I get the ball a little bit more forward. I tilt. I've talked about that in other videos. But what I haven't gone into great detail about is, and I get this question a lot, like, should I have forward shaft lean when I strike the driver too? And I'll answer that question very quickly. No, because when I have forward shaft lean, look at what that does to the club. Look at what's leading is the top edge of the club. And what's going to happen if I hit under the ball with the top edge of the club? I'm going to pop it up. So I've done this for quite a while, teaching that is, and shooting videos. And there are certain golfers that I see that have a tremendous amount of forward shaft lean with the driver. Actually, two classes of people here. One would be ex-softball, baseball players who were great hitters, great power hitters. Don't ask me why. I don't have science behind it. I just see it. There's something with swinging and the technique to swinging a baseball bat, which I really know nothing about. And when that translates to swinging a golf club, they always have their hands more forward. The other time that I see the handle really forward and people kind of hitting it in the top of the face or off the toe is people who have very, very strong grips. Remember, strong is away from the target. So when I turn both of my hands away from the target, people with strong grips, because of the position of that lead wrist, tend to kind of see the same thing where the hands are really forward at impact. So we've learned, obviously, that, all right, we don't want forward shaft lean, we don't want the hands forward. let's look at the other side of the coin. I get these people that come to me that cast the club, and so their hands are way back here when they hit their driver. Well, guess what? That doesn't work either. I'm going to top it. I'm going to hit it in the bottom. So proper impact with the driver should look like the following. As I get to impact, I want the lead arm and the shaft in a nice straight line, and ever so slightly some bowing of that lead wrist. So I don't have a ton because I don't need forward shaft lean, but I've got ever so slightly just a little bit of bow in that lead wrist. So let me put a ball up on a tee here so you can get a better look at this. So left-handed, driving the ball that direction. I'm going to do some things. So the bottom of my hula hoop is behind the golf ball. I'm going to get the ball forward, maybe create a little bit of tilt. And so I get to the top of my backswing, and as I come back to impact, you can see that lead, hopefully you can see that lead arm and the shaft are in a straight line, and I've got ever so slightly just some bowing of that lead wrist. If I had forward shaft lean, I'm going to hit it in the top of the club. If I'm scooping too much, I'm going to hit it in the bottom of the club, possibly top it. So I want to avoid this. I want to avoid this. What's good? Right there. All right. So let's hit some golf balls. Let's see if we can do this. So, and I guess the other question you might have is, Mark, I get what you're saying here. I see it. I see the geometry of it. How do I do it? Well, what I'm going to talk about, and I've talked about in other videos, is I call it the simplest drill in golf. And that's where I just go to the top of my backswing, back to the golf ball, and I start to imprint what these feels are. So then I can go ahead and apply it to my golf swing. So I'm just going to take it to the top, bring it back to the ball. Yeah, it feels really good, looks good, check it. You could even close your eyes. What does that feel like? Bring in that other sense instead of looking at it. Again, I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to bring it back to the golf ball. Everything's lined up well. Now I'm just going to look down range there and see if I can copy that. Yeah, that was a good drive. Right down the middle, little draw. Definitely felt like I lined it up well there. All right, so simplest drill in golf, that's your one way that we can get to that good impact position, that lead arm and that shaft in a straight line with the driver. Remember, not irons. Driver, everything else. Why? Ball's low on a tee or on the ground with everything else, whether it's a hybrid off a tee, whether it's a wedge on the ground, your mid-irons on the ground, you get the idea. All right, so the next thing that I want to talk about, and this applies only to somebody who has forward shaft lean. Warning here, right? Warning. So only you get yourself on video, or you've been in a lesson or whatever, and you can see with the driver, the hands are really forward, and I got to get rid of that. How do I get rid of that? And so what we're going to do is I want you to feel just like the club head is passing your hands into impact, almost like there's a little flick. And usually when I see people with the hands really far forward with the driver, not only do they hit it in the top of the face, but they tend to hit it left for a lefty, right for a righty, because they have a hard time squaring the club face up. So there's going to be a dual benefit if you're somebody who has the hands forward with the driver, forward shaft lean with the driver. And that dual benefit is, and you'll see it as I swing towards you and towards the camera, when I give that little flick at the bottom, or I feel like the club face is going to win the race, not my hands in the handle, you can see that the club head is what? It's pointing to the right more. So for a lefty, if I had forward shaft lean at impact with the driver, I'd tend to miss left. Well, if I flick at the bottom, if I let that club head pass my hands, it's going to help me. It's one way. There's multiple ways we could square up the golf club for impact, and I'll go over that in another video. But that's one way that a resource that I can use to square up the club head. All right, so let's do this. So I'm going to pretend that I tend to get too much forward shaft lean with the driver. So what I got to work on is I got to work on getting that forward shaft lean out of there. How am I going to do that? I'm going to let the club head pass my hands. I'm going to let the club head win the race. I'm going to feel a little flick at the bottom to go ahead and square that up and get my right arm and the shaft in line at impact. Let's give it a go. Yeah, that felt good too. So now you know how to create proper driver impact in golf. Remember, no forward shaft lean, that's the killer. So that lead arm and the shaft in a nice straight line, maybe ever so slightly some bowing of that lead wrist. And if you're somebody who gets too much forward shaft lean at impact with the driver, work on that little flick, let the club head win the race into impact. So I have 2 more videos up here right now that I promise will continue to help you improve your game. So remember, please like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, thank me, and comment.